Listening to commentators of boxing, of heavyweight boxing, reading through comments and listening to a lot of videos, there seems to be a lot of confusion on why Wladimir Klitschko does what he does. Why does he? Why is Emanuel Steward taught Wladimir Klitschko to do things a certain way? Uh, I got a comment on a video for the weekend from Castor Troy. I think that's how you pronounce it. Klitschko's style, whilst very effective, is also very limited. Fury wasn't joking when he said Vlad only has three punches. They are the jab, the straight right, and the left hook. That is basically it. Now, Wladimir Klitschko used to use combinations quite a lot. If anyone is actually a fan of Wladimir Klitschko, they'll know by looking at his videos from about 11, 12 years ago. I mean, he's been boxing now for 20 years as a pro. So back in the days when he was a lot younger, he used to put together combinations a lot. Now, when he got Emanuel Steward as a trainer, what Emanuel Steward has taught him to do is to just use pretty much the 1-2 or throw three punches and not to throw big combinations. And the reason Emanuel Steward has taught this is because when you're throwing, say, a 10 or a 12 punch combination, you can get maximum power into all the punches. Yeah, you can still punch it hard, but you can't get maximum power into the punches. You can't set your feet flat properly and rotate your whole body and just get all the power right from your foot right into the end of your fist and just twist your body into it and get all the power. So Emanuel Steward basically teaches power punchers, and he says, well, it's better just to throw the one or the two punches at a time to get maximum power. His other reason is because while the combinations look impressive and can look flashy as well, since you're not getting maximum power into it, it's not going to wear them down as much since you're not hitting them hard enough. So it's going to waste your energy. So it's better to conserve your energy and keep fresher for longer in the fight and maybe knock him out later on in the fight. So that's why Wladimir doesn't use combinations. Also, Emanuel Steward's style is behind a strong whip of a jab the whole time. Everything's set up off the jab, so you can find your range and then land the big combinations after that. That's another thing Wladimir Klitschko does, and is trained to him by Emanuel Steward. The other question I hear is, why does he not use the uppercut, and why does he not have an inside game? Now, Wladimir Klitschko, again, used to have quite a good inside game. He used to punch when he was coming out or getting into clinches as well, very effectively. And he used to use the Lennox Lewis uppercut as well, quite effectively, really. And I think he actually knocked a couple of opponents out using the uppercut, if I remember right. Now, the reason why he stopped doing this is he must have realised it's not as effective as he wants it to be. It's not doing as much damage as he wants it to be. Or it could be he's left to leaves him open to counters when he actually uses it. So that's why he's got rid of it from his boxing game, and he's excluded it, and he just sits with certain punches because he finds it more effective to. He can be a more effective boxer if he just uses the selected punches that he uses. The other thing I hear is commentators saying that Wladimir Klitschko has a kickboxing style. The way he has his hands when he's fighting is more of a kickboxing style. There's no truth to that at all. Yes, Wladimir Klitschko used to do kickboxing. Over 20 years ago now, when he was a teenager, yes, he used to do a bit of kickboxing as well. It was more Vitaly actually that was into kickboxing and had a professional kickboxing career than Wladimir Klitschko. But that still came from Emanuel Steward again. It wasn't from the kickboxing at all. Emanuel Steward teaches. Well, a lot of boxers used to fight. When they fight, they have their right hand. If you're right-handed, you have your left hand forward. You have your left, and you have your right hand up at the side of your face, protecting your chin from a counter, from like a left hook. Now, Emanuel Steward thinks it's more effective to have the right hand in front of your face not so it's blocking where where you can see your opponent. Has your hand down quite a bit lower, but at your chin, in front of your face. And the reason for that is it's if he parries your punch and he comes back with a counter, it blocks the punch. It blocks the counter attack, and it can block punches as well when it's in front of your face. It protects your chin better, he thinks, than just having it at the right hand side of your chin, but to have it in front of your chin. And also, what makes this style more effective, Emanuel Steward thinks, is since your right hand is in front of your chin, it is 6 inches further, closer to your opponent. So, one thing you notice when you watch Wladimir Klitschko, well, especially when I'm watching it with friends, is they can't see when he goes for the right hand because it's so quick. He's so fast with his hands. Maybe part of that reason is because he's got his hand 6 inches closer than a normal opponent would be his height. So the opponent can't see it coming because it's already a lot closer to the opponent. It's starting 6 inches closer than it normally would. So that's another reason why he has his hands the way he does. And obviously he's got a very defensive footwork. I don't see anyone pointing out faults with his footwork. He's obviously got very, very good, very quick footwork. The best example of him using that is probably against David Haye, because David Haye is obviously used to fighting taller opponents and actually knocking them out and getting in there with the punches. But with Wladimir, he could just take that quick step back and move around because he was faster than him as well, and he had better, superior footwork. And David Haye was just hitting air the whole of that fight. I think that's answered all the questions they possibly could about why Wladimir fights the way he does. The one thing that he doesn't follow through that Emanuel Steward taught him was to actually go for the knockout. It gets later on in the fight, you've worn down the opponent, and just to go for the KO and throw more punches. Wladimir Klitschko never followed that properly at all. Well, now he's dead, he can't force him to actually go out there and throw more punches, but you watch Emanuel Steward in the corner, not just with Wladimir Klitschko, they tell him to go out there, this guy shouldn't be going so far with you, throw some punches, it doesn't matter if you miss, if you throw another 9 punches in this next round and you only land 1, well, that's 1 punch extra landed, and that could be the knockout punch. And he really needed someone there to try and get through to him against Tyson Fury, and against Jennings as well, maybe, at the end. But he doesn't have Emanuel Steward there anymore, and he doesn't really have a trainer he's going to listen to right now, but it sounds like he's going to fire Jonathan Banks, and I think that'll be a massive change to him as well, because Wladimir Klitschko, to do Emanuel Steward's style completely to a T, later on in the fight he should be throwing punches, and it doesn't matter if you miss. That's just what Emanuel Steward said. It doesn't matter if you miss, as long as some of the extra punches are getting through and finding the target, it increases your chances of winning the round, obviously, and it increases your chances of knocking him out, and that's what Wladimir Klitschko needs to do now.